Hello and welcome back. We're now going to focus on more of the biological content related to chemistry. And what we're going to discuss as far as biology goes are going to be macromolecules, okay? And in terms of biology, I know there can be a lot of terminology that kind of makes it difficult to study, but if you break words down, sometimes that can help. Okay, because if we look at the front part of this word, macro, anytime you see macro, it means something big, okay? Molecules, well, that's what we've been talking about in chemistry. We've been putting together elements to make molecules, which are essentially elements that are kind of connected together by the bonds that we talked about last week, all right? So in terms of macromolecules, there are going to be four that are going to be important for you to know, all right? There are carbohydrates, there are proteins, there are lipids. These are also what you may refer to as fats, okay? And our last class of macromolecule are going to be nucleic acids. Okay? So in terms of the four macromolecules here, the first three really are components of our diet that we take in, all right? And in terms of that, we have carbohydrates that are going to be found on the outsides of our cells. We're going to have proteins that are enzymes that are going to run some of our chemical reactions. We're going to have lipids or fats that are going to make up part of our cell membranes, okay? So not only are these things that we take in as part of our diet, they are also components of cells, all right? Which is why we're studying them. Nucleic acids, the last one, really much more straightforward. Our nucleic acids are going to be our DNA, our RNA, okay? Also a component of a cell, all right? And in terms of that, also something that we take in as part of our diet, because anything that we consume that was once living, like a plant, so if you have a spinach salad, the spinach leaves are made up of cells. Those cells have nucleic acids or DNA inside of them, okay? So in terms of that, we will take these in as part of our diet. These are also components that make up parts of a cell. And that's why we're going to start learning a little bit more about these, all right? And in terms of these macromolecules, macromolecules are going to be polymers, okay? What it means for that to be a polymer, we've got some repeating units that are essentially going to be strung together to make a larger and larger structure, all right? I've got the markers that I've been using on the board. I can connect these together to make something larger, okay? So this would be an example of a polymer. You've got repeating units of the marker here, okay? That's essentially what we're going to do with the units that make up carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, nucleic acids. Although lipids, I will warn you ahead of time, going to be a little bit different, okay? Carbohydrates, proteins, nucleic acids, we're definitely talking about putting together polymers, okay? So if we want to think about this a little bit more abstractly, okay? If these are our chemicals, or the monomers, because the monomer is going to be the single of the polymer, okay? We can connect those monomers with a covalent bond to make a larger structure. okay? And we can do this multiple different times, okay, to make a much larger structure, all right? And in terms of that process of making a polymer, okay, going from a monomer to a polymer, making those chemical bonds, the chemical reaction there is a dehydration synthesis, which is a mouthful, right? Dehydration synthesis. And oddly enough, I can spell dehydration synthesis. I have trouble with smaller words. Go figure, okay? But really what we're talking about, when you see hydration, that probably is going to trigger for you water, okay? So dehydration, what we're doing in the process of making our monomers into polymers is we're going to generate a water molecule, okay? So in terms of this process, say we've got a short polymer here, and we want to add another of our polymers. And I should designate these. These really what I'm drawing, I'm kind of drawing them as balls. These are not defined chemical structures like oxygen, just because it looks like a circle. So I'll color these in, okay, so that that's a little more clear and you can see what's going on, all right? When we're talking about water, right, we need 1 oxygen and 2 hydrogens. That's what we've got at this end of our reaction. So what happens in this process of creating that covalent bond, because remember we're going to be talking about organic molecules here and organic compounds. So we're creating a covalent bond, all right? And I'm going to make this one a little bit green to kind of distinguish what we've got going on here, all right? We're taking that hydrogen and hydroxyl group, and that's going to release a water from the creation of that covalent bond, okay? And this right here, this is our dehydration synthesis, okay? Now, in terms of that, we want to be able, within the body, to also be able to do the reverse of that, okay? The reverse, if we want to break a bond, okay, that is going to be a hydrolysis reaction, okay? So in terms of that, all right, hydrolysis, hydro meaning water, lysis in terms of biology, we're talking about breaking something, okay? So what we're going to need here, and I'm going to move over here because I've got a little more board space, okay? We've got our hydrogen, our 3 balls, all right? Now if we add water in, what we can do is reverse that reaction. We can generate we've got an OH that's going to go here, okay? Then we've got our other molecule with that OH. The hydrogen associated with water is going to attach to this monomer, okay? That's going to break the bond, all right? That hydrolysis reaction, okay, if you want to think about this in a biological context, this is why if you've ever been on a diet or gone on a diet, One of the things that is always told to you by your healthcare provider is you should drink lots of water. And in terms of that, this is why you want to drink lots of water. Because what you want to do, you want to get to those stores of fat that you have and start breaking them down. In order to start breaking those bonds, you need the water to have the hydrolysis reaction happen. And now your body is able to use those components that had been stored away. Okay? So in terms of that, we've got making of a polymer. The making of the polymer is the dehydration synthesis, which is over here. And we've got the breaking of those covalent bonds, which is the hydrolysis reaction. Okay? And water in a dehydration reaction is going to be a product that's going to be made. Water in a hydrolysis reaction has to be put in, so that's part of the reactant in our chemical reaction. Okay? If you have any questions about that, please let me know.